שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסחו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שיר
Reb Chaim of Tzantz used to tell the tale there was a man wandering in the forest, lost and alone for several days, until he encountered another. "My brother, my friend, show me the way out." The man replied, "I can only tell you this. The ways I have tried lead nowhere. They've led me astray. But come, take my hand. Let us look for the way together." And so, searching for the road home, knowing they could not get there alone, yet strengthened by their meeting, they continued forward hand in hand. So it is with us, Reb Chaim would say. When we go alone and apart our own separate way, we can easily be led astray. Which is why I say to all of you this morning, join us with full intention and open hearts. Turn off your cell phones, or at least put them on silent, so that you can focus in on this moment of communal meaning, share in our congregational readings. In every melody, join with the cantor in bringing Shabbos spirit to life and witnessing our bar mitzvah as he leads us in worship and sharing his Torah truth, in silent seeking, in meditation, in blessing, and song, and in spirit. When we go it alone, we'll always be lost. But this Shabbat, we can begin to make our way back home to holiness, joining hands and hearts. Let us look for that way. Let's find that way together. And so we begin on page 78 as we praise God for the gift of body and soul. Elohai neshama shanatata bi tahorahi. My God, the soul you have given me is pure.
Elohai, Elohai,
turn to page 83 as we offer our intentions for today, for our week ahead, reading responsively. As I awaken, let this be my thought. May my day be filled with acts of loving kindness. Let me be drawn to learning and discernment, and may my actions be shaped by mitzvot.
Keep me from iniquity, disgrace, and sin. May I not be overwhelmed by temptation or despair.
Distance me from evil people and false friends. Let me cultivate a life of goodness.
May my hands reach out in kindness, and I will serve God through acts of righteousness.
Today and every day, may I merit your mercy by living my life with compassion and love.
Holy One of blessing, draw me to your words. Teach me the art of sacred living.
Baruch ata Adonai, hamelamed chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. We turn now to page 106 for Chatzi Kaddish as we rise and remain standing through the Shema.
Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'amad yivrach eretev, yamnich malchutev, b'chayachoni v'mechoni v'chayilecha b'et Yisrael, ba'agala v'zeman kariv, v'meru. Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam olamei amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'shabach, Vitpar v'tomar v'yitnaseh, v'tadar v'talev v'tala, shemei l'kudesha b'richut, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nachemata, damiran be'olema, v'meru. Amen.
As we turn to page 108 for the Baruch Hu, it's my pleasure to call upon our bar mitzvah, Stuart Michael Flexner-Bury, to lead us in the next portion of our worship service.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. We continue on page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha brachamim, uftuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechochma asita, mal'ach ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yafa rucha sela, or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh hulanu mechera le'oru. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. We continue on page 113. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said. In light blinded we saw, that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. We continue on page 114. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on page 116. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha ולכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטות עטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohim. Amen. We continue on page 121. Please read responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else. May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war any more. You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for we were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God. We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy. Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
We continue with the Amidah on page 124. Please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher Haste Avot Vimaot, Umevi gula livnei v'nehem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'mashiach u'magim. Baruch atah Adonai, magin Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mehaye hakol atara l'shia, morid hatal, mehalkel haim bechesed, mehaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melah, melech memit, umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hako. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hako. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shemati shimoto b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'kara zel zeh ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch kol haaretz, kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Shimcha bechol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, imloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Zion, ledor vador, hallelujah, ledor vador nagid golecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nagdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. We praise God for the gift of Shabbat as we sing Yismechu on page 132. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. Malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashir ratzita bo, continue on page 137. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otah levadcha be'ir'ah na'avod. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God and the God of our ancestors, forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, that your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'ech lechodot.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova veracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova veracha. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova veracha.
We continue together in the middle of page 141. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Having prayed for peace in our world, we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing, of mind, of body, and of spirit. We take a moment, think about those people, and whisper their names out loud. We join together on page 253 for Misha Berach.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu, kol bracha lavotenu. renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please take a moment for your own private meditations.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Seder Kriyat Torah, service for the reading of Torah, page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai, your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai, your God. As we prepare to open the ark and take out our sacred scrolls, I call upon the generations of Stuart's family to join us in front of the bima, as well as to stand in our chain of tradition. I call upon Stuart along with his parents, John, and his mother, Jennifer, as well as his grandmother, Doris, and to open our ark, to take out our Torahs. I call on his aunt, Erin, and his uncle, Jeffrey Flexner, to come onto the bima, and I would ask the rest of our congregation to please rise in honor of the Torah.
Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, amen. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, amen. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
Torah tziva lanu Moshe Morashat Kehilat Yaakov. This is the Torah given by God to Moses, the inheritance of the congregation of Israel. Stuart, at Mount Sinai, God gave the gift of Torah to the people of Israel as a gift of love, and he handed it to Moses. Moses passed Torah down to Joshua. Joshua gave Torah to the elders. The elders passed Torah down to the prophets, who cried its words of social justice out loud for all to hear. The prophets passed Torah down to the Anshe Knesset Hagadolah, the men of the Great Assembly, and they passed Torah down to the rabbis. The rabbis spent their lives looking at those ancient words, searching for modern meaning in their own time to make those teachings relevant and true. And it is that tradition that enables us to stand here with you today, with the generations of your family, and pass it down to you, knowing that you also will look at its ancient teachings, find words that inspire you, and help you to live a life of Judaism that makes you and your family proud. And so just as God gave this gift to all of us as a gift of love, so too do the generations of your family stand here with you, passing it down to you with their hearts overflowing with love and pride, knowing that someday you too will stand before a congregation, maybe this one, and pass Torah down to those who come after you. And so Torah goes, midor lador, I got it, don't worry, from generation to generation.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti unomema Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula ve'hagvura ve'hatiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod. Ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, ki cho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha ve'mitnaseh lechol erosh. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim kedushatecha nakdish, kedushatecha nakdish. V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, le'olam le'olam va'ed. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim kedushatecha nakdish, kedushatecha nakdish. V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, le'olam le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. This week we read from Parashat Kedoshim, meaning holiness. In it, God tells Moses to instruct the Israelites in the laws of holiness. And for this reason, the portion is also known as the Holiness Code. Stuart will read from Leviticus chapter 19, verses 1 through 18. You can follow along in your service supplement in the Hebrew and the English. And it's my pleasure to call Stuart forward and also his parents to join him. Ya'amod Eliyahu ben Esther, habachur habar mitzvah.
Baruch hu et Adonai ha'mevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Israel ve'amarta alechem kadoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo ve'aviv tirau ve'et shabtotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elilim ve'lohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem. Vehi tizbechu zevach shelamim la'Adonai lirtzonchem tizbachuchu beyom zivhachem yechel u'imochorat v'chanotar ad yom hashlishi va'esh yisaref. Ve'im cheyachol yechel bayom hashlishi pigul hu lo yeratzeh. Ve'ochlav avono isa ki et kodesh Adonai hilel v'nichreta hanefesh hachi me'amecha. Uvekutzrechem et ketzir artzechem lo techalech peat sadcha ligzor velaket ketzircha lo telaket. V'karmecha lo teoleo uferet mekarmecha lo telaket le'ani velager ta'azov otam ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo tignovu velo techachashu velo teshakru ish ba'amito velo tishavu bishmi lashaker v'chilalta et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'ashok et reacha velo tigzol lo talin Peolat Sachir Itcha ad Boker. Lo tekalel Cheresh Belifnei Iver Lo Titain Mikshol Ve'areta Melohecha Ani Adonai. Lo Ta'asu Avel Bamishpat Lo Tisa Penei Dal Velo Techedar Fenei Gadol Betzedek Tishpot Amitecha. Lo Telech Rachil be'amecha lo ta'amod al dam reacha ani Adonai. Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha chocheach tochiach et amitecha velo tisa alav heit. Lo tikom velo titor et b'nei amecha ve'achavta dereacha kamocha ani Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And, I will invite you to rise as we raise the Torah. Stuart's mother, Jennifer, is going to raise the Torah, and I'm going to invite Sophia, his sister, to come dress the Torah. Please rise. V'zot haTorah shesa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah shesa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai, yai lai. You may be seated.
In Parashat Kedoshim, God speaks to Moses and tells him to speak to the whole Israelite community and tell them a list of commandments and punishments for offenses called the Holiness Code. He tells Moses, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." He tells Moses to observe the Sabbath, not create or worship idols, how to sacrifice animals correctly, to not steal, to not profane the name of God, to not hate or bear grudges on your kinsfolk, to not hamper the disabled, to be just in decisions, and to observe all of his laws. This is the part of the parashah I am reading, which is 19 lines long. After that, God sets out punishments for various sex offenses, how to plant and grow fruit trees and what to do with the fruit, to not shave parts of your hair, to not eat animals in their own blood, to not be a soothsayer, to respect the old, and to not turn to ghosts and spirits for help. Parashat Kedoshim has many key commandments and rules and is a monologue of God talking to Moses. I chose to talk about the many connotations of the word ki in line 2. Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem. According to Rabbi Nathan's sermon from 1999, ki has over 15 different meanings in Torah, but in this line it has been narrowed down to 3 by the rabbis in Sifra. Sifra is an important text written about the book of Leviticus by several important rabbis. This means that there are 3 different ways to define holiness just here alone. So, what is holiness? Meaning 1 is, you shall be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. This is about using God's holiness as a benchmark, a standard to look up to and try to reach. Meaning 2 is, you shall be holy even though I, the Lord your God, am holy. This is about how, no matter how holy God is, we still have to be holy ourselves and take action, not just sit and pray. Meaning 3 is, you shall be holy, so that I, the Lord your God, am holy. This is similar to meaning 2, saying that God is only as holy to a person as a person is holy themselves. I agree with the commentary on Parshat Kedoshim, and I think it helps answer the question, what is holiness? The answer is whatever you believe it is. Here alone, there are 3 different options, and ki already has over 15 different meanings. You might think the correct way to translate this is option 1, and the person nearest to you might think number 3 makes the most sense. Personally, I agree with option 2. You shall be holy, even though I, the Lord your God, am holy. One must take action to improve the world, I believe. Think back to 2020 with the Black Lives Matter protests. Those people didn't just sit on the couch and go, gee, I hope Congress passes a law about this. No, they went out and made their voices heard and their intentions known. Without all of that, some of the recent arrests and measures probably wouldn't have been made. That is why I agree. We must keep standing up for what we believe in if we want what we believe to become reality. Becoming a bar mitzvah means a lot to me because I'll be the first person in my family to have one. Without having one, it is harder to be recognized as a Jewish adult and a responsible person. By becoming a bar mitzvah, I know I will be accepted into the community and recognized for the effort I put in and the work I had to do. It is a way to continue the Jewish heritage of our family, and maybe one day pass it on to the people who come after me. I would like to thank my whole family for being here today. Special thanks to my mom for helping with all of the meetings, calls, and organization, my dad for supporting me even though he is not Jewish, my sister for being here today and supporting me. I would like to thank Rabbi Yergin for helping a ton with my Devar Torah, and Hagit for greatly improving my Hebrew reading and speaking. Big thanks to Rabbi Nathan and Cantor Berlin for being here today and being absolutely wonderful. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Stay here. You're doing great. You're doing great. Our tradition teaches the world stands on 3 pillars, the pillars of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilut Chasadim. Torah, study, Avodah, worship or spiritual seeking, Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness. So Stuart, you've done a beautiful job so far of teaching Torah and leading us in prayer. And now Stuart is going to talk about that 3rd pillar with his prophetic perspective. At Temple Beth-El, we don't read or chant a traditional Haftarah. Instead, we read our blessings or chant our blessings and then share a perspective on a prophetic text that is important to our congregation, many of which are on the stained glass windows here in our sanctuary, words that the founders of our congregation felt were the core values of this community to live by. So Stuart will share the one who that means the most to him.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiyeshanu b'mitzvotav, asher bachar banu, asher bachar, asher bachar b'dvim tovim, v'ratza v'divrechem, hanemarin be'emet, Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'Torah, uv'Moshe avdo, uv'Yisrael amo, uv'Nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. My prophetic text is Isaiah 2.4. You can find it in the sanctuary in Temple Beth-El. It is about peace and says, "Beat your swords into plowshares and your spears into pruning hooks." It relates to the current issue of the war in Ukraine, how an old conflict that was thought resolved has flared up again, and the unrest and division in the world right now. I think it connects to me because I'm a relatively peaceful person, while people in my life are not always like that. I think it is not very confusing and is saying to turn your weapons of war into peaceful and useful items. For my Mitzvah project, I decided to package food at the food bank, both in Tulsa and here in San Antonio. I also donated around $100. My Mitzvah project is loosely connected to this text, in the sense that world peace and hunger are both big issues that are very concerning to me. I remember, when I was younger, me and my friends would ask, what would we do if we had 3 wishes? I remember that even though we were only 7 at most, wishing for peace and food for all were by far the most common responses. And to this day, these are still big issues that I care about, and so I take action. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, sor kol haolamim, sadik bechol hadorot, ha'el haneman, habocher ve'oseh, hamedaber umkayem, sher kol devarach emet v'tzedek, al haTorah ve'al havodah, ve'al hanevim, ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha ve'libnucha, lechavod u'tifharet. Al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, uvarchim otach, yitbarach shimcha befi chol chai, tamid leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
On this Shabbat, we want to thank everyone for joining our family on this joyous occasion. Special thanks go out to our family members who have traveled here from Pennsylvania to share in this special day. Stuart, thank you for agreeing to move from Tulsa to San Antonio 9 months ago. Knowing that you'd already started preparing for your bar mitzvah at B'nai Emunah, and you were leaving behind this preparation and your friends from your synagogue in Tulsa to undertake this great new adventure. The Kendall Whittier Food Pantry was appreciative of your volunteer hours bagging food for those in need on a weekly basis. The Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma greatly appreciated the donation of your prize winnings from chess tournaments. You have shown tremendous maturity and flexibility over these last several months as we all have adapted to our new home. You have set an amazing example for your younger sister, Sophia, by engaging in your schoolwork with the same tenacity as you did in Tulsa, joining every academic competition team you could find at Alamo Heights Junior School and putting in the time and effort to help your teams be successful and, most importantly, making new friends. We know none of this was easy for you, and we love you for taking this journey with us as a family and doing the hard work that led up to this day.
Our hope for you is that you will continue to pursue all of the opportunities that life puts in front of you, both those that can be easily accomplished, as well as those that require time, energy, commitment, and resiliency in the face of failure. We hope that you never fear the powerful learning opportunities that can result from change and hardship, as long as you remain true to your strongest personal attributes, your faith and truth, and the inherent goodness in all people, your pursuit of knowledge and wisdom in all its forms, your commitment to equity among all people, and your genuinely kind spirit and good-naturedness. We know it can be difficult to be a sensitive person to productively exist in a world as overstimulating as our 21st century world can feel, full of brash influencers who prefer talking or tick-tocking over listening. And moving to Texas, where everything is naturally bigger and often louder, probably doesn't help in that regard. But we know that you have never let anything hold you back. And we hope that you approach the coming decades with that same kind but unwavering spirit. We hope that you follow the rules when they make sense, but won't let rules hold you back when you see something in the distance that can help others and make this world a better place. We hope that when you make a mistake, you will own it and learn from it, and then get back to work making fewer or better mistakes, but that you will never stop trying. And lastly, we hope when you stand here sometime in the future as a parent in front of your child, sharing your hopes and wishes for them on their bar or bat mitzvah day, that you feel as much love, respect, and pride for them as we feel for you here today. Thank you for sharing your unique personality and spirit with your family every day, and for sharing it with your new community of classmates and friends. You make us proud to be part of your life. On this special day, Mazel Tov.
So beautiful, really beautiful blessing. And so at this poignant moment of blessing, we make ready to return Torah to the Ark. I'm going to call your aunt and uncle back up, Aaron and Jeffrey, to open the Ark as we turn to page 256. Thank you. I'm looking right there. 256 as we rise in honor of the Torah. You know what to do. You may be seated. Stuart, come over here. I'm gonna talk to you. In a nice way, don't worry. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good? Nice. Was I right? Was this like the fastest bar mitzvah you've ever been to?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. Did you feel good about leading and doing all your stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you should feel great. I mean, you did an amazing job. You read Kiddushim so beautifully. You led the worship with such confidence. I know it can be a scary thing to get up in front of people, and this is a big room, right? And yet you stood up here with confidence, and it was clear how much you had prepared. And I, for one, just really enjoyed having you lead our service. And Rabbi Yergin and I were like, well, when can we get Stuart back to read Torah again? Just so be forewarned. Anytime? Good? All right, cool. I'm not going to forget that. Success, yay. This is such a great Torah portion, and I think you're lucky to have it. And the Holiness Code, as you talked about, right, it talks about not how to worship properly, but how to behave properly in the world, right? And you picked, after we discussed it, one of my favorite parts. I was very honored to be quoted in a bar mitzvah devar Torah. How do we understand this idea of being holy, right? And be holy because God is holy? Like, what does that even mean when we don't even know what God actually is in the world for sure, though there are a lot of ideas. So I was a fan of your choice of number 2, right? Even though God is holy, we still have to be holy, right? Because God's holiness in the world is just not enough, right? Especially because God gave us free will, the choice to decide between doing good things and bad things every single day. And sometimes that's an easy choice, sometimes that's a hard choice. And so it's not enough, we understand, to be holy just to assume God's holiness can carry us through. We have to act, right? I have to say, especially since you gave yourself like a 7-year-old timestamp when you were talking about your 3 wishes, most 7-year-olds would say, with my 3 wishes, I would like to have tons of video games, right? A brand new bicycle and all the French fries I could ever eat, or something like that, right? Those sound like good things though, right? Pretty good, right? But you went for the biggies, right? You were like, me and my friends, we want peace in the world. We don't want anyone to be hungry. That speaks to a person who gets it inside of his soul, what it means to try to be holy, right? To see that there is holiness in the world, but there's way more potential for us as human beings to use our powers and our smarts and our energy to make it a little more holy, right? Which is why I love that you chose number 2, because you live it in your life, taking your chess tournament winnings to help feed hungry people, dedicating your time not just in Tulsa where you came from, but here in your new home in San Antonio to help feed the hungry. That speaks to a maturity that not that many 7th graders have. So I hope for you, as you continue to grow, that you hold on to that holiness, that you amplify that holiness, reminding other people they have to be holy too, but at the same time, you don't forget to smile every now and again, and also really appreciate and feel good about who you are in the world and the goodness that you bring, not just to people you don't know, but to your parents, to your sister, to your grandmother, to your whole family, and everyone who knows you. They're lucky to know you and have you in their life. I hope this day is one that you hold in your heart as one where you did things you knew you could do, but maybe were a little nervous to do, and did them so beautifully. I think this will just be the first of many times that we ask you to get up in front of our congregation, to read Torah, and to teach Torah. You have a lot to teach us all. Okay? All right, you're welcome. So at this moment of blessing, I'm going to invite you to come with your mom and dad, Cantor Berlin, Rabbi Jurgen, in front of the open ark for the priestly benediction. I'd ask you all to rise as well.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
May God deal kindly with you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's radiant presence shine upon you, Stuart, and grant you life's choicest blessings of health, wholeness, happiness, lots of love, and peace. Amen.
You may be seated, except for Stuart. All right, so go ahead, take a drink, breathe. You're done. You just get to stand here and listen and relax. And right now, even better, you get some gifts that we're going to go over. But before I do that, I need to see a smile. Okay, that was a fake one, but I'll take it. Right, so just realize that you rocked it. Right? You did awesome, and we are so proud of you. And now you can take that deep breath, not the one you took in the president's room before to calm you down, but to say, I just did it. made it happen. And to remind you, just in case you forget, right, it's the fastest bar mitzvah, so just in case, we give you a certificate that you can always have. So you said, yep, I did it, I know it, on this date, all the clergy signed it, it happened, right? We also give you, from North American Federation of Temple Youth, we give you a gift certificate to help get you on a trip to Israel. And when you complete confirmation, Temple Beth-El will match that. And I know that you are going to love confirmation with Rabbi Nathan talking about God and all of these different concepts that you talked about in your Devar Torah that we had the opportunity to talk about in preparing your Devar Torah. I also want to give to you from Sisterhood this Tanakh, which has your name on it, so that you can take this with you and continue your learning and your studies throughout your entire life. And we continue to build up your Judaica collection with a Kiddush cup and candlesticks from Brotherhood, who are excited to have you into the Brotherhood as a Jewish adult. And from Yachad, our religious school parents group, the Tzedakah box, which I know that you will put to good use, maybe from your chess tournament winnings, but other ways to help people in need, whether it be through the food bank or other things that you find really important. We are so proud of you, and we are excited to see how your Jewish journey continues as an adult. We continue with the concluding portion of our worship service. Our Aleinu is on page 283, and I'm going to invite back Aaron and Jeffrey to come open our ark, and I invite all of you to rise. 283.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני
You may be seated. Page 288. Memorial Meditation by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Shirley Jacobs Alter, Morris Bankler, Phyllis Braverman, Dorothy Brody, Rose Brody, Maria Antonia Cavazos, Edith Cohen, Taylor Colthurst, Alma Davis, Ursula Devine, Lillian Dubb, Selma Feitler, Jim Flume, Idella Fox, Elaine Frank, Jack Frazier, Margaret Friedman, Randall Gernsbacher, Martha Gittleson, Lee Goldberg, Rabbi Mark S. Goodman, Edward C. Green, Jack Gross, Ruth Weiner Grover, Alan Guggenheim, Walter Jacob Holloway, Lottie Horowitz, Nellie Jackson, Rebecca Karotkin, William Lasser, C.D. Lauber Greenfield, Annie Lehman, Helen Molinas, Daniel Danny Markson, Bill Marshall, Florence Munter, Heinz Nelke, Mildred Perlman, Marvin Polonsky, Joseph Max Pomerantz, Lois Pullen, Lisa Starr Rosenstein, David Rossow, Maria Royberg, Eva Rubin, Gussie Schneps, Albert Seligman, Eugene Simon, Bobby Smith, Harry A. Smolkin, Elsa K. Solomonson, Etta Sturman, Max Sturman, Nadia Umansky, Pauline Vittis, Barry Weatherly, May Hannah Wiener, Saul Zanar. To these names, we add those who've been buried this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Sylvia Cohen, Edward Halfant, James Tarantino, Aaron Kyle Conley, and Stanley Langford. We also add the name of one who has been buried this past week, whose family is in a mourning period of Shiva. Remember Carol Blonder, mother of Henry and Sophie Barkley and Max Barkley, daughter of Shirley Blonder, sister of Leslie and John Tramer and Marilyn Opus, aunt of Anne and Jonathan Brownlee, Liz Tramer, and Elise Opus. At this sacred hour, Stuart's family particularly remembers Gerald Bury Jr., Carol Ann Bury, and Stuart Berg Flexner. To all of these names and those which are in our hearts each and every day, we turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom, rising together as one community. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mei almaya, yitzparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha brichu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, u'ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Our closing song is In Keloheinu on page 322. I want to invite Sophia back up for Kiddush and Motzi along with her brother Stuart and her parents Jennifer and John.
In Keloheinu, in Karuneinu, in Kemokeinu, in Kemoshienu, mi Eloheinu,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam parei bari hagafen.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who is created as a symbol of joy, the fruit of the vine.
Amen. Stu, take this. Yeah, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who has brought forth our bread from the earth.
Amen and Shabbat Shalom. Oh, maybe this will be, yeah. You go.
Hey, you rocked it. For real, I'm getting your help.
All right, share that with your family.
Seriously,
We'll do
you
the
gotta
rest.
smile, it's all done.
That's okay. We'll see pieces of challah. Are you guys not big challah eaters?
Ooh, sorry.
There's plenty of room. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, all right.
There's oneg out in the hallway.
There is a little kiddish luncheon, not luncheon, just reception, our normal kiddish reception outside. Come join us. Great job, Stuart. Thank you. Really, really good. And such a beautiful prayer from both of you. Oh, so beautiful. Really awesome.
But for real, we were talking about